He was part of the campaign, he led the campaign in '75 to leave the common market. So he's got a bit of experience about this. And that's why it's so wonderful that the chairman of Labour League has been battling so hard, utterly committed to this cause. He was also chairman of Vote League. He's here with us this evening. Give a massive welcome, John Mills.
Well, thank you very much, Richard. And I think you may have seen me speaking about 45 years younger in a permanent production.
When I talk about the most confidence, this lady has got confidence written all over her face. She's had a very didn't realise that she was not so important this tonight.
You can't see anybody here, Adam.
The yellow thing's a good idea because you can be spotted. The yellow jacket.
I did consider that, yeah. Yeah.
I'll show this off on Monday to my group. It'll annoy them.
Stand up.
I've just lost the password.
But if you look through the viewfinder, then you'll see it. Yeah, that's it. The viewfinder's basically next to the sun.
Who the fuck's he anyway? The British told them to fudge off 70 million fudge offs. They called in the experts to tell us what's right. They gave us the benefit of their foresight. To leave is calamitous, that's their denied. Food shortages, planes grounded, no medicine, a house price crash, $500,000 jobs lost, cost of £4,300 to every home, riots, stock market collapse, no sandwiches.
No sandwiches! Sandwiches!
There'd be an outbreak of super gonorrhea. They seriously said that. Leave is calamitous, that's their denied. Food shortages, planes grounded, no medicine, a house price crash, $500,000 jobs lost, cost of £4,300 to every home, riots, stock market collapse, no sandwiches.
No sandwiches! Sandwiches!
There'd be an outbreak of super gonorrhea. They seriously said that. Donald Tusk and the EU said it would be the end of Western civilization as we know it. One more thing, Vote League, that makes you racist.
No, I've been had a
British told them to fudge off 70 million fudge offs.
So I had a lot of reasons in 1975 being sceptical about whether I ever take this good idea, that's why I fought against it. But I was still there. I was still there.
Where's Boris?
Team representation. And I think the argument that I had in 1975 just as happened. Plus, by that time, we had a European...
I think the majority was 1.7 million people, so it's quite a large majority. And I've got my friend of here from Ireland tonight, Robert, and I was just going to make an analogy with what happened in Ireland a few years ago, where they initially voted for the euro, and then they voted against the euro. 2 years later, they redressed the ribbons and they voted for the euro. And I just wondered, what was it that changed the Irish people's mind on that?
I think it was fear. It was the fear of the people that voted the second time. But I think you must go back on this. the EU have got history. Because during the Maastricht Treaty in the early 1990s, Denmark had to vote twice. And in 01, 02, the Irish had to vote twice because they didn't get it right the first time. It was the fear of the people. And again in 2008 and 2009, the same happened again. There was no such thing as losers' consent. And again, they got their strategy very different on the second time than on the first time. Because in the first referendum in 08-09, what actually happened was they tried to win them by romance. They said to them, look, we're taking you to the heart of Europe. They weren't so nice the second time round. They drove fear into their hearts.
So did they tell the Irish people that you're going to be losing this, you're going to be losing that by not having the euro? Is that what they said? Is that what changed their mind?
They were the dumpsters of their day. They knew they could get away without having, because you didn't have losers' consent. And I would take you back to about 1987, the Supreme Court in Ireland ruled that they couldn't make a major change in a treaty without a referendum.
That's interesting.
And but the Supreme Court never discussed losers' consent. And it's a shame that coming all this time later.
What is losers' consent again? Sorry.
Well, losers' consent is what democracy is based on. If you don't have losers' consent, it's like the last election.
Oh, I see what you mean.
RS1. If the losers didn't consent, then you would have rights. When you don't listen to people, when you don't have democracy, you have dictatorship, and I think you're getting there.
And any idea what the ratio was the first time? Obviously, it was a clear majority against the first time. What was the ratio? What was the increase? Any idea in the vote?
It was huge. The second time on the 08-09, it was huge. Just like the margin for Brexit. It was actually huge. They only needed to win by one vote. There was millions more.
And do you think if they had a Brexit vote in Ireland or a Brexit in the era today, would the Irish people be for it or against it, do you think? Because in France,
well, Northern Ireland is the nearest you can get to what the vote would be like. And obviously in Northern Ireland, it was for it to remain, as it was in Scotland. So the Republic of Ireland, I believe, would remain. The Republic of Ireland benefits, but it is being bullied, and the EU has bullied small nations. What has happened this time is they tried to bully a large nation, and they tried to spread fear. It didn't work. So Project Fear didn't work.
Because I imagine there's only one thing historically the UDA and the Sinn Féin had in common. They were both anti-Brexit, which is ironic, isn't it? I would say.
Well, I don't know. If you look tonight on the Late Show in Ireland, it's a show that I'm sure will have a lot to say about Brexit because the DUP leader is on that show tonight. And it is interesting because she was for leaving the EU. I think she might regret that day because it could be the end of the Union. But it's an interesting show to watch in era tonight.
Carnival sort of atmosphere, I think, and I'm making a little video. Don't mind this going on Facebook and YouTube. It does. It makes it an event.
Brexit in the bucket.
Brexit in a bucket. Yeah.
The slogan on the
So where'd you learn to walk on stilts? Did you go to a circus school or something?
Used to be a plaster.
Something like that. It may take a long time. Do you know that apparently the police are looking for two criminals at the moment? One's 6 foot tall, the other one's 4 foot tall. They're hunting high and low for them. someone, although you're not ostensibly English, you're still part of the British Isles, you could say. But in the UK, a lot of people have seen this as a left-right issue, and it hasn't been, because the left has been polarised. Like, for example, I saw a Communist Party leaflet the other day which actually said they were actually for Brexit. So from the left point of view, the Communist Party, they were against the international banking and against international capitalism. From the right of politics, it was more a pro-patriotic, anti-immigration thing. But I was seeing an interview with Roger Daltrey and Pete Townsend the other day, Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey said that they were touring the UK before, touring Europe before Brexit, and he described the EU as a mafia, and a lot of people see it as a mafia. But that being said, I think to get a balanced view, there were some good things about the EU, the Human Rights Act, etc., that cannot be denied. But I think the next few years will be quite interesting to actually see what.
But the problem is the EU needed reform.
Yes.
When Cameron went to Brussels begging, he was begging for reform. He came home empty-handed, and this is what set off that process today. And I think the message was then that they were not going to reform. They're not going to reform now, and they keep asking you to vote again and again. Britain won't be the last country to leave. No. The next quite possibly will be Italy, and these are two major countries.
So Merry Brexit. Merry Brexit, everyone. Happy New Year.
Merry Brexit.
Merry Brexit. Merry Brexit.
The restart of our democracy, the kick-start of our economy, a new optimism, a new self-belief.
So we've got everyone here today, including Danish TV. Say hi from Denmark. Hello from Denmark.
Independent nation state once again. With countries around the globe, and yes, just across the channel too. Now, for me,
It's not unusual to be loved by anyone. Come on, people! It's not unusual to have fun with anyone. When I see you hanging around with anyone, it's not unusual to see me cry. I wanna die. Hey! It's not unusual to be mad with anyone. When I see you having the power in such a time, you should ever want to be loved by anyone. It's not unusual, it happens every day. No matter what we say,
I mean, I was in France, south of France last year, and they've got Brexit signs everywhere. So obviously they want to follow the British example on that. But Cameron, I don't think ever. I mean, seeing Cameron's face that day when he left, he was unbelievable. They really expected him to stay in Europe, and here we are today, 3 years later, and it's actually happening. Yeah.
But they didn't do a very good job. And if you go back in time, you say the people didn't know what they voted for. Some people like me and you have been around for a long time.
Yeah.
If you go back to the days of Michael Foot, and you go back to the days of Ted Heath, you know they did an interview with both the debate, and they debated the EU. And it's just as relevant today if you go back on YouTube and see the debate between Michael Foot and Ted Heath. The difference was that the Labour leader then was Michael Foot, and he was much more determined, and he had great points on why we should not be in the European Union. And don't forget Ted Heath brought us in without a referendum.
I mean, recently, Jeremy Corbyn, the reason he sat on the fence so long, I think, was because he didn't know what side his supporters would vote, anti-Brexit or pro-Brexit. But in the end, he sat on the fence so long, his party, I think, was becoming nondescript, and hence the reason
he wasn't a leader. Leaders don't fit onto the fence, as you know. They get out of the lead. And to go into a general election 3.5 years later and still not to know, and people at the doorstep not to understand what it was all about. The leadership was very bad with the Tories under Theresa May. She was pretty useless, and that's why it went on so long. This should have been done and dusted. If you had Luther's consent, that would have happened a long time ago.
No, I think the only reason they chose Johnson to lead the Tories was because he was the only realistic opponent to Corbyn. You know, I mean, so that was the reason why he was Farage by proxy. Really.
Well, in this great city, he was the one who actually delivered. Whereas Farage made it possible. He set up the platform, and it had to be the Prime Minister of the day that delivered. It had to be a strong Prime Minister. Now, me and you have seen Boris lead this city for 8 years, and he done a damn good job. And he was able to win over Labour voters. So the heartland in the north, the red brick wall, wasn't difficult. There's only one Labour MP left in Scotland. And I think the next wall, the Labour heartland, is right here in the centre, in the inner suburbs of London. And maybe the next time, if they pick a weak leader, and it looks like they will, then I'm afraid that Labour will be losing inner boroughs in London.
Be interested to see what happens. But the British are very reactionary, and the rain is coming down again quite heavily now. And my brilliant cameraman over there has done a great job. His arms must be aching.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mike, for doing that. But wherever you are in the world, the United States, as I say, the political landscape of Britain has changed. I mean, as Robert was just saying, the Tory, which is traditionally the right of politics, capitalism, even in the lowest working class districts of the UK. I mean, when I was in the army nearly 40 years ago, there was a north-south divide. I don't think that divide exists so much now. But anyway, the rain is coming down again, so thanks for listening. And everything changes at midnight tonight. You know,
it's 11 p.m. It's 11 p.m. because it's midnight in Europe, but 11 p.m. tonight. So you might get the last pint in.
And there's been a little fireworks tonight. I think they're going to light up with a Union Jack on the other side of Parliament. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.
We're out.
Before you and all of us have made history, and this is the greatest moment in the modern history of our great nation. He's here now. He's with us. Give him a massive welcome. He's a little bit shy sometimes, you know.
Especially in the Parliament.
Do we want Nigel? I can't hear you. Do we want Nigel? Here he is, one and only, Mr. Nigel Farage. 27 years. And something that many thousands of you gave your time, love and money for. We face an establishment that never even wanted to listen to us. An establishment that never wanted that referendum to take place. An establishment that has tried for 3.5 years to frustrate the will of the greatest democratic mandate ever seen in this country. But we will leave the European Union! And we did it! We did it! We transformed the landscape of our country. And there are some that say we shouldn't celebrate tonight. Well, we are going to celebrate tonight, and we are celebrating tonight because we know that this is the single most important moment in the modern history of our great nation. That is what is happening tonight. And I think there's a lot to celebrate, don't you? The first thing to celebrate is that we will no longer have to listen to Mr. Juncker, to Mr. Honda. No longer will our Prime Ministers be talked down to by unelected bureaucrats in Brussels. We should celebrate the fact that we are going to be able, across the road here, to make our own laws. People we can hold directly accountable in general elections. We, in 11 minutes,
The people!
a democratic, self-governing, independent, and I hope proud nation. And we should celebrate. We should celebrate that in 10 minutes time, we're getting there, aren't we? 3.5 years was a long time. 10 minutes doesn't sound too bad to me. We should celebrate the fact that free from the constraints of the European Union, we once again will be able to find our place in the world. We are able to re-engage with the Commonwealth, with America, with our friends all over the world. It will be a global presence. There's one thing above all that we must celebrate tonight, and it's this. The only reason we're here tonight is because Westminster became utterly detached from ordinary people in this country. And those people started to speak. Those people started to rise. Those people forced a referendum. Those people forced a general election. And those people, despite all the flaws in our system, for the first time in history, the people have beaten the establishment, and that